Sonya and Sacha, for real.
So grateful that you're listening to the Sonya and Sacha for Real show on Brimbank Live and Live FM. And next we have a really interesting guest, and it's something that we all should know about and we probably don't know a lot about, but it is hepatitis. And there's a few different kinds. Something pretty exciting has happened in the hepatitis world in the last couple of months, and we've got the world's best expert to tell us about this. Sacha, who have we got?
We have the Health Promotions Program Manager of Hepatitis Victoria. We have got Martin Forrest. Can we give him a big round of applause for Martin, who's going to teach us all about hepatitis?
Yay. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I've had the injections, okay? I've had A and B, I think.
Great.
So, and I think I just had it because I went overseas and that was what I was supposed to do. But I didn't actually really know why I was even getting them and what was going to go wrong if I didn't get them. And now, since you've come into our lives, I've been, obsessed in hepatitis and not catching it. So can you please, firstly, can you actually tell us what is it? Because it's an alphabet.
Well, yeah, there is an alphabet of hepatitis, but hepatitis is really just a word that means inflamed liver. That's all it means. I think it comes from Greek or Latin or something like that.
From the Greek.
But hepatitis Victoria, we're really just concerned about viral hepatitis. So just as COVID is a virus that people pass around between each other, viral hepatitis, there's a whole lot of different types. There's hepatitis A, B, C, D, E, an alphabet there. But it's hepatitis B and C are the ones that are the real problem in Australia. And so Hepatitis Victoria, whereas not-for-profit organisation, we do a lot of sort of awareness raising, trying to get people to pay a bit more attention to it because there's a lot of mortality associated with viral hepatitis. And every state and territory across Australia has got an organisation that does similar work.
So, okay, you can get a vaccination against A and B. Is that correct? That's probably what we've had. Tell me about this C. Like, how do I protect myself from this C thing? What's this new C?
Well,
thing?
hepatitis C, there's no vaccine for hepatitis C, but there's these amazing cures. Oh, you catch it? Well, this is the odd thing. It's blood-to-blood transmission. So someone else's blood has got to get into your body. And you think, that's pretty unlikely to happen. Why would I be worried about that? The same's true of hepatitis B, that's transmitted blood to blood, but there's 500,000 people in Australia who are living with viral hepatitis. So things like sharing injecting equipment, getting a tattoo where the equipment's not sterile, body piercings, and it wasn't that long ago that they couldn't recognise it at the blood bank. And so a lot of people got it from medical procedures, like so women who were giving birth and haemophiliacs. And even today, if you go overseas and you get some sort of medical procedure, there's still a good chance you'll come away with viral hepatitis. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I think probably one of these things that when we work with a lot of young people and people go off and get tattoos and people will, especially, you'll get drunk or you might go to Bali or something and you'll get a tattoo. We really want, and this is like really healthy young people that are going out and getting tattoos or, getting your
it's just
piercings.
Phenomenal. Like it's so common, yeah.
How do you protect yourself against that?
Look, you've really, if you're going off to get a tattoo, my advice is talk to the tattoo artist and say, what's your infection control processes here? Like, how do you guarantee that because it's not just viral hepatitis you could catch HIV, you could get staphylococcus and all sorts of infections. So you want to know that they're using sterile equipment or it's disposable equipment that they use once and then discard, or they've got something to sterilise it there. And that's really important because if they reuse it, you can look at it and think, that's clean. There's no blood on there. But a virus is like minuscule. There's no way. And you only need one of these things to get into your body and the whole process kicks off, So if you're going to a tattoo, say, well, what's your infection control procedures? If they don't want to answer that question, go and find another tattooist, And reputable tattoo parlours are registered with their local council. And so they'll be inspected and they'll know all about it. But the problem we find nowadays is you can buy a tattoo gun on eBay for, $20 or something like that. And as you say, kids will have a party, invite their mates round, they'll practice a bit on each other. And that's the perfect scenario for transmission of either hepatitis B or hepatitis C.
Do you know
It
what?
seems like right now
Yeah.
would be the time to be really pumping up this kind of, awareness campaign, because once our restrictions are lifted and we can travel, and our young people who've missed out on schoolies week and 18th birthdays and all that sort of thing will head to places like Bali, and, and it will be like they're living with
Big
no
carpe
tomorrow
diem
kind
everywhere.
of thing.
Carpe diem putting it in just to remind themselves no pandemics.
And like part of our problem we have is that people just aren't aware of these issues. It's some parts of the community are aware of it because hepatitis B affects sort of various parts of, like migrants and immigrants and refugees are disproportionately impacted by hepatitis B. So they've probably got some family history where someone died because of liver disease, and they, might go off and get tested and things like that. But, for people living in the suburbs, there is so much taboo about talking about this. There's stigma and discrimination. And, even a lot of doctors don't like to have that conversation with their clients. So it's about raising awareness of it and trying to bring those numbers down.
It's actually really interesting that you said about the young people and tattoo guns, because I just was at a school early on in the year when I was allowed to go to the schools, and a young person actually said to me she was expelled from school from bringing a tattoo gun to school, and they were all doing tattoos on each other, and we had this conversation, and I really. I probably, until this exact moment, until you said something, Martin, I didn't put too much of it. I thought, oh, well, like teenagers do stupid things. If she wants to do that, but now that you've said that, it just blows my mind, because the last thing that I would want is my teenager going to school and getting this tattoo that they would, and then not only would they regret, but then coming along with an illness that.
Well, that's right. Yeah. And the problem with that is that you might not get any immediate symptoms. So you might go and, get a tattoo with your mates and things like that. And for most people, there'll be no symptoms at all. And it can take 10, 20 years before your liver really comes under stress from the virus. Wow. So, you'll be thinking, oh, I'm fine. You go off, you start a family and do all that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden you start getting this ache in your side, and you're feeling a bit off colour. And, the symptoms can be mild when they first start, but after a while, it will lead to liver cancer. And once you get that end stage progression of the disease is really rapid. So you can go for 20 years with no symptoms, and then within 6 months, you'll be living with liver cancer, and, your prognosis is not good. So it's a very deceptive virus, and that's one of the reasons why the numbers in Australia are so high, because people aren't aware that they've got it. So they think it's okay to sort of share their tattoo gun or get their ears pierced. Or, when we were kids, we used to be blood brothers, where you'd cut your thumb and rub it on each other and things like that. But, there's just so many problems with that sort of stuff, And as I say, 500,000 people in Australia living with viral hepatitis. That's it's an epidemic.
Oh, that's incredible. I just want to. I've heard the term a carrier of hepatitis. What's that?
Look, that's a bit of it's fallen out of favour, because that used to be talked about in terms of people who have got hepatitis B, and the reality is you've either got hepatitis B or you don't have it, but. Sort of years ago, people used to say, oh, well, I'm a carrier, and that implied that there were going to be no consequences for them, But if you're living with chronic hepatitis B, about a quarter of people who have got hepatitis B, if they're not managed by their doctor, will get liver cancer within about, 20 years or so. So That's a term we really discourage using nowadays, because if you've got hepatitis B, you want to be managed by a clinician, because that transition from being healthy to having, serious liver disease happens quite quickly. So people who have got hepatitis B should go off every 12 months and get a scan of their liver, and that's non-invasive. It's just they rub a probe over your skin and things like that. But if you're living with hepatitis B, you've got to be very careful because it's also a sexually transmitted infection. So you can pass it to your partner, and women pass it to their children during childbirth. So you want to be very aware if you have it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for your information, Martin. Just quickly before we go, something pretty exciting's happened in your world. We have a Nobel Prize in Australia. Tell us about that before we.
Oh, look, this is just fabulous news because, as I say, it was probably about 1990 that they identified the Hep C virus, and that meant the blood bank could exclude it and things like that. And so these people who have discovered it will save so many lives. I just want to end on a positive note, though. We've got vaccination for hepatitis B, so we can stop people catching it. So make sure you've been vaccinated, and a simple blood test will tell you if you have been or not. We've got these amazing cures for hepatitis C now, where you take a tablet a day for about 8 weeks and you can cure yourself of it. So the World Health Organization, the Australian government, and governments around the world said, let's try and eliminate this disease by 2030. So there's some good news there. We think we can prevent the suffering that goes with these conditions.
Oh,
That's
wow.
incredible work.
That's fantastic. That is really good. It's going to get my obsession now from watching everything about it. I'm going to go off and eat some broccoli. Sonya, you get your going because that's what's going to rejuvenate our liver. Martin, thank you so much. It's been absolutely fascinating because there's so much stuff out there to learn, and you've really taught us lots about hepatitis. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for having me on your show.
And
Sonya and Sacha, for real.